Hey, what's up everybody? This is Jason from Clever Dude Productions and welcome to One Take Wednesday, a weekly show that I'm going to start doing by answering any of the questions that have popped up on my channel over the last week. So in this episode, the things I'm going to talk about are the waiting times for Spark. So there's still lots of people asking questions about when they expect to get theirs. A really good one around, you'd be more likely to get a Cybertruck in the time that it's going to take you to get one of these Spark amps. So I'm going to go through some of the data that was collected from the little app that I created. There were also some questions on the channel and in the Facebook forums around, can you use wah pedals and pedal boards and foot switches with the Spark? I'm going to go through that as well. I'm going to show a difference between using the built-in amps that are in the Spark app itself and using the Spark amp as an interface and using plugins. So I did a little quick test with the Bias Effects plugin and compared it to if you're just using the amps running right from the Spark app itself to hear a bit of the differences between that. And the last one is a quick feature by feature comparison. So I've had the Spark for, I guess, about 6 weeks now, and some of the questions around jam mode. So that's telling the Spark app to play drums where you can play the 8 bars, jamming along with tracks, hooking it up to your music player. Those seem to be the most marketable features that the Positive Grid folks have advertised as far as being a benefit for getting the Spark amp. So those 4 main things, and then I guess the last one is going to be, would I make the purchase again? So the timeline, as always, is in the description, so you can skip some of the crap that you don't care about, and let's get right to it. So first, the waiting time for Spark. So this is the simple application. So I think, like I mentioned in the Facebook forum when I posted it and on the video, that I was I was building something for work where I needed to use this Airtable and Stacker, and I wanted to create a little practice app just for the sake of getting it out in the public, getting people to use it to see how the app works and stuff like that. Some people said, well, just because you can doesn't mean you should. This is stupid. You're whining, you're complaining. To those people, but to the 100 people who've actually put their data in there, thanks very much for doing that. I actually sent the data over to Positive Grid. They haven't answered yet, and basically what I wanted to see is if they would actually put some type of data out there that would show people how long they can expect to wait. Yes, everybody gets an email with, hey, your thing is ordered, your thing is being prepared, your thing is being shipped, but it's not giving you the overall cycle time of when you can actually expect to get this thing. So a couple of things. So the received orders, so far 100 people have put their data into this app. Some people have actually even gone back and updated the date that they received it. So out of those 100 people that have put their information in here, 7% of those have actually got their Spark amp. Average days to receive, global, 127 days. Fastest shipment, 84 days. Record for the longest wait, I'm happy to say that was me. So I put mine, ordered mine December 1st, got it May 27th. So I still hold the record for the most number of days. And then these are for people who have marked their Spark as received. Here's by country, here's the average waiting times. Obviously this isn't enough data to tell you a picture, but at least it's better than what Positive Grid is giving some folks. If I go to people who are waiting for orders, so the median that people have been waiting so far is 68 days. Again, take some of this data with a bit of a grain of salt. This doesn't mean that if you live in Mexico, you're going to get yours in 9 days. That just means the average waiting time is 9 days. So I think only one person from Mexico put their data in there and they ordered it 9 days ago. So that's why it says 9. But here's how long people have been waiting by country so far, and I think I can expand this out and it's going to show the full list. So people in Austria seem to be waiting the most, followed by Finland, Italy, Sweden, France, etc., etc. So take this for what you will. If you are still waiting for your Spark, hey, who knows? I'm going to leave this app up for maybe another few weeks or so because it actually cost me money to run this thing. But it was just an experiment to see if people could put their data in there and see if we could put some pressure on Positive Grid so they could actually be a little bit more transparent with their shipping. Okay, so the next thing, hooking stuff up to the Spark. This question was weird. I was surprised there were so many on the Facebook group, and I was actually surprised people actually asked questions about the Spark on the Facebook group instead of just asking about shipping. That's why I ended up leaving that group, because it's pointless. Nobody wants to actually talk about how to use the product. They just want to talk about when they can expect to get it and stuff like that. So talking about hooking stuff up, I was surprised to see that because it's an amp. You hook stuff up to it. It's kind of like when electric cars started becoming more popular. Lots of people were asking, can you drive it in the rain? How does it work in the snow? It has tires and it's made of metal. It's a car. But I understand why people would ask the question, but it works fine. So for this little quick test, I'm just going to do this off the cuff. So again, I'm a drummer and producer. I know I've said that a lot of times before, but set your expectations appropriately for my guitar playing. So for this test, I have the Spark plugged in, turned on. I've had the Spark app up and running. I have a Digitech Gen X4 plugged into it, and I have a wah pedal plugged in to my Digitech Gen X4, and that's going into the guitar amp. So the Gen X4, for people who don't know, it actually has amp modeling built into it. So it has cabinets, it has amp heads, and a whole bunch of other effects and things like that. So everything is bypassed right now. So that is just running the default high gain tone that's in the Spark. So I'm going to switch this over to the Satch Overdrive patch. I'm going to load that into the Spark. Lesson number 1 for One Take Wednesday: tune your guitar. So I've got the Gen X4 bypassed right now, and obviously if I'm going to unbypass this, this is using a jazz drive setting built in. This is going to be... So obviously it's amping it twice. So it's using whatever's running in the Gen X4, setting that to the amp, and running it through the amp sims in the Spark as well. So obviously you can hear how that's changing. So if you do want to run this through an external one, again, bypass everything. So in the Spark app, you flip things up, you flip the amp up, and this is essentially, it's just acting like a pass-through. So these are just going to be the sounds coming directly out of the Gen X4. So the Gen X4, it's got some reasonably okay sounds. I actually, back in the day when I used to be making websites for bands, because they don't have any money and they can't pay you, a friend of mine who was a guitar player would give me gear. So I got a guitar, I got the Gen X4. So this, I don't even know how old this thing is. It's gotta be 15 years old by now. But this is the dual rectifier amp. The lead. Now let's engage. This is an original Crybaby wah that is actually very old, so it's quite stiff. So can you hook up pedals to it? Yes, obviously you can. And you can mix and match stuff. So again, the cabinets and amps that are built in with the Gen X4, I can turn the amp head off, I can turn effects on and run it through an amp head on the Spark as well. Any pedals that you have in front of it, obviously it's going to work. And really the only thing is just flip all the options off in the Spark. So if I wanted to add an extra noise gate, or a different mod pedal, wanted to add an extra delay, I think you get the point. So yes, will it work with external stuff? Obviously, yes, it will. Your mileage may vary. All right, on to the next. So using the Spark with plugins. So I'm gonna have to fast forward. Where's the plexi? Here's the plexi. Bypass that. There you go, mix and match. I'm gonna do I want to do a proper video on putting up the different amp heads from the Spark against the Waves GTR, against THU Overloud, the built-in ones with Logic, etc. Just really for my own curiosity to hear what the differences are, because tone is one thing that there are 20 million videos on YouTube around what tone is the best. And I subscribe to the Nita Strauss theory. I watched a really good video where she did a rundown of her rig, and I can't remember what hardware she was using, but it has a whole bunch of built-in amps and modelers in it and stuff. And she said she doesn't even look at the names. I scroll through the tones with my foot and play, and whatever sounds good to my ears is the one that I pick. So the last thing for this video, feature by feature, and would I buy the Spark again? So if you go to their website and you look at how they're marketing Spark. All right, so intelligent technology, play and practice with millions of songs and access over 10,000 tones provided by the Tone Engine. Yeah, that's true. I mean, all you got to do is go into your Spotify or your Apple Music and you can play whatever the heck you want. You can jam along with it. You can practice with built-in jam mode, etc., etc. So I would give them a pass on that because that's actually very, very easy to do. So the smart jam for all of the amp highlights. So the things that they're really selling as far as this. So smart jam, what do they say about that? Generates authentic bass and drums to accompany you. It's a smart virtual band that goes wherever you go. I would give them a fail on this with a but. That doesn't really matter. I mean, if you want something that you can jam with, there's a million backing tracks that are not in smart jam mode, but just in regular jam mode you can use. There's millions of them on YouTube to play along with. And I don't know, what I usually do is I'll just put a song on that I like and jam along with it. It's not even to learn the song or to try to, you know, play along with that. It's just for the sake of practicing stuff with a backing track. There are plenty of other options for doing this that are free. Anybody who's in the Apple ecosystem, GarageBand makes this so easy to do, either on your phone or on your iPad or whatever it is. There's a built-in drummer. There's built-in smart instruments for bass, for guitar, for piano, for strings, and all that kind of stuff. So it's way easier in my brain to use that than it is to use this. So I don't really think that's a big deal. And this for me was one of the strongest selling features for me, because I thought that would be really cool if it could detect what I'm playing. And once I used it, it's not good, but there's different ways I would accomplish the same thing, and I probably wouldn't use it anyway. That's actually my least used feature for Spark. Auto chords. So this is automatically displaying guitar chords for millions of songs. I would give them a pass on this, again with a but. I think a much better option for this, if you want to learn songs, is ultimateguitar.com. I'm going to guess pretty much everybody has heard about this. There are backing tracks here, there's lessons, they have pretty much everything in here that you would ever need. And the cool thing this does, there is a pro version for this as well. So if you go into tabs, and let's just pick, so it gives you options here. So you can just look at the chords for the song, you can look at an official tab, and I want to find one that has the pro version of it. So I'll go to my tabs because I know some of mine have, here, Guitar Pro. So yeah, here, let's pick this one. Love this tab, maybe, maybe not. So Ultimate Guitar has, in my opinion, much better options for this, because it's going to give you the tab for all of the instruments in the songs. It also gives you a metronome to play along with. You can loop through songs. It's going to give you a fretboard diagram so you can see what's being played. You can adjust the speed. And there's a whole bunch of other options, pitch and transpose. So, you know, if a song that you want to learn is tuned half a step down and you don't like tuning your guitar up and down, for whatever reason, you can transpose it. But for me, this is a much better option. So go and check out ultimateguitar.com. I would much rather use that over the auto chords that are built in with the Spark. The other thing is, I mean, if you're a beginner, it's great, and I would consider myself maybe an advanced beginner, I guess. I've been playing guitar for a while, but it's not my main instrument. It's important to teach your ear how to hear things too. So using Ultimate Guitar or any other thing that's giving you all of the chord progression is doesn't help train your ear. Voice command, I would give this a pass because it works, but I never use it. I never press the play drum or press the thing and say, play me a blues backing track, play me a whatever. I'll just pick whatever backing track is up on the screen, because the cool thing you can do once you get into the backing track, let me turn this down so it doesn't blow my ears away. Dope tracks, yes, exactly. You can actually transpose this. So you can adjust the speed, and where did it go? They used to have a settings. Hang on, I'm not in the right spot, sorry. So the artists with the YouTube videos know you can't do any transposing, but if you go into the Smart Jam and you're in this view, you can. So you can click on the little settings thing, you can adjust the tempo, and you can transpose it up or down multiple steps. So if you want to play it in a different key. So I find myself using the quick jam mode more often than anything else. There'll be a link in the description to where you can get a whole bunch of guitar scales and a bunch of other theory stuff. So the last guitar teacher I had, she just gave me tons and tons and tons of stuff. So I like going into here, I can transpose it into whatever key I want and then just practice different modes and scales and stuff like that. So I use that probably a lot more. The tone engine, whether you blah, 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 we've got the most realistic blah, blah, blah. I would give them a resounding pass on this because there are so many different amp heads in here, combinations of pedals. There's one noise gate. There are 5 different compressors. There's eyeballing it, probably 10 or 11 drive pedals, 30 different amps, 10 different mod pedals, chorus, flanger, stuff like that. 6 different delays, a bunch of reverbs and stuff like that. Tone is the hard thing because it's such a subjective thing, but I would guarantee pretty much anybody could get a really good sounding tone out of the Spark amp, and that goes with all of the other plugins and stuff like that. If you play around with it enough, you can get a good enough sound from it. The one interesting thing that Positive Grid does in any really advanced guitar plugin is they give you the ability to actually modify settings about the amp. So I used to use Overloud THU from Slate, and you could change the tubes in the actual amp head itself, which was pretty cool. So in the Positive Grid Bias Effects plugin, or VST, you can adjust your output settings. So you can actually adjust, this is where you can see the noise on the screen. You can adjust an EQ compensate for the front of the amp, the power amp, depending on which amp head that you have set up. And then you can also turn them on and off. So if you want to turn the cabinet on or off, or the power amp on and off for whatever reason. There. As soon as I turn on the power amp, the camera's probably not picking that up, but you can, it's very audible, the noise that's getting introduced, which is reasonable because when I turn this beast on behind me, it sounds like the house is going to explode, which is just awesome. So getting back to Tone Engine, I'll give that a pass. I mean, if you don't like the tones that are coming out of the Spark, you can use it still as a practice amp. You can use it as an interface and use a plugin instead, but I think they've done a really good job on the tone amp. All right, so let's go, what else do we got here? 10,000 plus tones, I would give them a pass. Full range sound, I actually use this as a Bluetooth speaker quite often. So I'll bring it out in the backyard and drown out the mumble rap coming from my neighbors. And it really does sound fantastic. I would put it up there with high-end Sonos stuff for my ears. Sounds very full. The bottom end is just fantastic. It's nice and crisp as well. So I think it sounds really good. I have not mic'd it yet as far as recording guitar by micing it. Their other claim, using it as an audio interface, I've done a bunch of videos that, yes, you can use it as an audio interface. I had some questions around software to use. The PreSonus Studio One will only work on PC. Maybe version 5 works on the Mac if you have upgraded to Catalina, but I wasn't able to run it on my main computer. I used my son's old PC, it worked fine. So yes, I'd give it a pass. You can use it for home recording. What else did they say here? Versatile for any instrument, I'll give that a pass as well because I have tried all of the different settings. I've recorded songs with bass and acoustic and guitar, and I would give that a pass as well. What else? Plug and play, designed for all levels of players. Yep, I would give that a pass as well. And let's just check any other features. So those are, that's how they market it. So a lot of people are harping mostly on the Smart Jam feature, saying, you know, they're liars, blah, 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 blah. It's one small feature in a bigger package. I would absolutely buy this again. And the main reasons why I would buy this again is I like that all of the controls that are in the app that you use are also on the top of it, so you can modify it there. I like that it can store presets, so if you don't have your phone lying around and you want to play, you can just obviously put in some of your main presets in there. Construction wise, it is constructed quite well. Weighs about 16 pounds or so, but it feels pretty substantial. The handling, the carry handle is pretty helpful as well. So hope you enjoyed this One Take Wednesday. Like and subscribe, and thanks very much for supporting the channel. I'll see you on the next one.